Hi, this is Draeden, and today I want to go over the process I'm using when I'm creating a cinematic part in my tracks and some tips and tricks that you can implement in your track as well for layering strings. So let's get into it.
History deleted.
So this is what we're going to be working with today. It's a track I'm working on right now. I just want to make something clear. This is not a mixing video. This is not mixed at the moment. I might do one later on. It just depends on how much of you guys click that like and subscribe button, I guess. So first, usually when I'm composing cinematic music, I'm going to find a chord progression that I like. And I'm usually going to do that on the piano. Sometimes it's going to be different. Sometimes I'm going to be finding a chord progression I like on the strings. But I found it's really easier to layer your different instrument when you have like a piano reference. So here, what I come up with the other day, I'm gonna show you the MIDI. Of course, this is not done yet, so I have to play that on the piano, I guess. Because right now it feels really mechanic, right? Because everything is in sync. Usually when you're gonna play an instrument, there's gonna be some small variation on the tempo and also the velocity. So as you can see, I already mess with the velocity a little bit, but it still feel more mechanic. So I don't really like that for the moment, but this is not the point of this video. Once you have that, usually how an orchestra works is that you have the double bass, the cellos, the viola, the violin, and the lead violin. So this is like the basic principle of how an orchestra works. But you know, we're making electronic music, so sky's the limit, right? Once I got that piano laid down, I found some different instruments and different VSTs that I like. And I started with the double bass, so in French is contrabass. Right here, let me just select that and this. So you can see that my double bass is following the lower notes of the piano. And this is all that it's doing. Okay. Next, the cellos are gonna play the same note as the double bass, but one octave higher. So if we select that and the piano, as you can see, it's also following the same note of the piano, right? And if we check on a spectrum analyzer, so the double bass is taking care of the very, very low end. And let's check the cello. So as you can see, it's doing the same thing, but just one octave higher. So when you layer them, right, cool. Next, what I did is that I applied the viola, and let's just mute this one for now. And the viola is following this part of the piano lead. So let's select the piano. So by doing that, by stacking the different elements onto one of each other, you're basically creating a chord, and that's what you want. That's what usually real orchestra are doing. I'm gonna come back to this viola right after. So finally, just for the composing part, what I did is that I took this patch and I did the same principle. I followed that lead. All right, so if we just take what I showed you at the moment, we have this. So we're getting there, but you know, it's not full enough. Well, at least not for me. What I did next is that I decided to layer some different element that I felt needed more width and depth to the sound. So I choose another patch and follow the same lead. So as you can see, the first one is really in your face, kind of violin. And this one is more of a background element, kind of supportive of that main sound. I also added another one. This one is a octave higher, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, exactly. So really by layering those different elements, you get a big full lead. Okay, nice. And for that viola, so we had this one, but I felt it was not big enough for that range in the frequencies. So this is why I added this one. I also panned this viola on the left because I really wanted like a symmetric type of stereo width. So here what we have, those two. So if we play everything together, I'm gonna add the layer one by one. Okay, just let me solo this. All right, and one last thing, if you want to make your string sounds more realistic, you have to imagine the way an orchestra or like a string player is playing. So, you know, usually they're gonna go like that, right? So you have to create that motion inside the MIDI clip right here. And you can do that by selecting this envelope in Ableton, clicking right here under MIDI control. And you have two options. You can go with modulation or expression. It kind of does the same thing, but it's not exactly the same. I won't go too much in depth with that, but you can modulate both of them or each one of them. In this batch, I only used the modulation. So I'm creating those kind of hills onto each note to really create that, you know, that playing effect of the double bass player. If I increase it like really drastically, you'll hear. All right. So you can do that for like any type of you know, patch that you want. I don't think I did it onto the mains because the main lead, because I felt like it was already really beautiful that way. And a really quick tip also, I just cut out the low end of everything. So for example, the double bass is really lower, so I just cut it. Well, sorry about that. So I just cut it like his lowest note is right here. So I just cut it before. Same thing for the cellos. His lowest note is right there, so I just cut it before. And same thing for the viola and the leads, so you get the idea. If I wouldn't have some brass, which I do have in this track, but they're not really meant to do the same kind of thing, I would probably go the same way. So I might, well, depending on your track, of course, but you might play some longer notes with like some horns, some trumpets or some tuba, and maybe add some staccato or whatever, but really keep that in mind to layer at different octaves the different patch, and you're good to go. Anyway, that's it for today. I hope you've learned something. If you did, please consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.